One of the things that Microsoft has put a big focus on over the years is multi-factor authentication, also known as MFA. And so we're going to take a look at understanding what multi-factor authentication is all about. So what is multi-factor authentication? Well, over the years past, we've always kind of focused on password authentication. And password authentication is just falls into that first category you see there, which is the something you know factor of authentication. There's also something you have and something you are. Something you have being like a smart card, a key fob, a cell phone. Something you are biometric, which gets into fingerprint matching, voice recognition, retinal scanning, iris scanning, all of those fun things. So in the first factor, the something you know, and again, this being the thing that we've focused on for years and years and years, passwords, PIN numbers, even the security questions that you use a lot of times to change your passwords on websites, like, what is your mother's maiden name? What is the name of the street you grew up on, or the name of your first pet you ever had? Those all fall into the category of something you know. And the big vulnerability about those a lot of times is that people will use the same password over and over and over and over again. And it's just human nature because, of course, we want to try to remember it, right? So the other problem is we have the issue of we use the same password over and over and over again, but then also we end up having to change our passwords on different websites and all that. So what users end up doing is they end up storing their passwords somewhere in an easy to find place, such as a text file, okay, on their desktop called passwords, okay, or the worst scenarios, of course, where people write their passwords down on sticky notes and stick them to their monitor, or the infamous hide your password under your keyboard, okay, scenario. So that, of course, none of those things are, great solutions for storing passwords. Although there is a good argument, people say that your password is more secure if it's just written down and kept in your wallet. Believe it or not, because most of the hacking that's going on is people hacking you across the internet or the network. So maybe keeping it in your wallet is a safer place. There's a good argument there actually, but the something the issue with it is simply a person could be anywhere. If they learn your password, maybe because you got phished through, phishing attack or something like that, they're able to discover what your password is and then log on as you from anywhere, including China. All right. And then you have something you have. Something you have would be a smart card or a key fob cell phone, as I said. So what are those things? So smart card has a smart card chip. It has a little bit of memory. You might even have a smart card in your credit card nowadays. A lot of times are smart cards. Or if you are a DoD person, military, whatever, you might be carrying around this thing called a CAC, a Common Access Card. So that is a smart card. Okay, so a smart card is a common one that's used in a lot of organizations and companies, especially the military or DoD being a huge organization that uses it. And then you have what's known as a key fob. So a lot of times people will call those RSA key fobs. RSA key fobs, what it is a little keychain device you carry around with you, and simply pops a number up every 30 seconds or so, and from there you would log on. You'd have to put that number in. Of course, the cell phone is sort of taking over as the de facto standards for the something you have strategy. In fact, you're going to see that with Microsoft's MFA, multi-factor authentication, they really put a focus on having that cell phone with you, because the cell phone allows you to have text messages sent to it, as well as you can have a phone call. You also can download the Authenticator app, and that's going to allow you to get in. And then finally, the last one, the something you are, that's measured by biometric. Biometrics look at physical characteristics of people. So Microsoft has a technology in Windows 10 called Windows Hello. And if you are in a business environment, you have a business edition of Windows 10, you have Windows Hello for Business. And Hello is their biometric system. And of course, that biometric system can also tie to the cloud. So what's the purpose of all of this? Well, the purpose of all of this is to strengthen the identities with two-step verification. Unfortunately, just one single factor by itself is not secure enough. Hackers have found ways around all of the different factors that you saw on that previous slide. And so just utilizing one of those things is not really enough in today's cybersecurity climate. So with two-step verification, we're going to add a massive layer of security to our environment, because a hacker would not only have to break through one of those factors, they'd have to break through two of those factors. Okay, in other words, with cybersecurity, one of your goals is always, you want a hacker to have to spend all this time to break through one brick wall only to find themselves staring at another brick wall. Two-step verification with multi-factor authentication is going to do that. So if you think about it, if let's say you paired these, and also I want to add this, when we talk about pairing with multiple factor authentication, you want to look at it from the standpoint of two different factors, not two of the same factors. In other words, a password and a PIN number would not be considered truly multi-factor because they're both something you know. An RSA key fob and your cell phone would not be considered two-factor because they're both something you have. And then using fingerprint matching and retina scanning would also not be, because that would be two biometric. So you want to pair two different ones. So for example, the DoD is a good example of this. They use those CACs. So you have to have a smart card, a CAC, a common access card, and then you also have a PIN number that's paired with that. So if I was to try to hack a DoD person, Department of Defense, I would have to steal their smart card, but I would also have to know their PIN number. And that's the idea. So Microsoft is trying to implement that in their environments here, make it where somebody has a password perhaps, and then also pair that with their cell phone, and then you would make it really, really difficult in order to break into somebody's account by doing that. All right, how does MFA look for a user? So once we implement MFA, and I'm going to be demonstrating that here shortly, but once you implement MFA, how does it look for a user? Okay, so one of the things you'll notice there is once MFA has been implemented for your user, okay, they're gonna be asked different ways of verifying. One option would be this option here, which involves them putting in their cell phone. They text their cell phone, or the MFA texts their cell phone a code. They put that code in, and then the person logs on. Okay, that is known as HOTP, hash-based one-time password. And then over here, you have another option, which would be to utilize your account to set up whichever of these you want to do. You could have a text message, you could have it call you, and if it calls you, then at that point, the user is going to be asked to enter a number. They enter that number, and it logs the person on. So basically, it's like hit 1 and to log this account on. So the account tries to log on, it calls your phone. This is great because you don't necessarily have to have a smartphone or even a phone that accepts text messages. You could do this off of a landline, and it could call you. You hit 1, it logs the account on. So as soon as the account logs on, they get a phone call, and away they go. Another option is the Authenticator app. So if you have a smartphone on you right now, actually, if you go to your app store, whether it's Android, Apple, whatever, search for the Microsoft Authenticator app, and that's another option for utilizing MFA.